Think we're going.
Yay.
All right. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, and
Yeah.
welcome to tonight's episode of Teen Talk Live. And I'm just really excited every time we're able to launch. Really excited about that. Well, tonight I'm so happy that you've joined us. My name is Dillard, and I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist. And I'm just so honored to have my friend and fellow colleague, Mercedes, with me tonight. Welcome, Mercedes.
Hey, Anne, thanks so much for having me on with you.
Absolutely. Welcome. Well, I should say welcome back to Teen Talk Live, right?
Yes, exactly.
It's always great having you. And I'm so glad. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule
Yeah, exactly, right.
to, to share with our audience. And Mercedes, I am just going to jump right in and ask you to introduce yourself to the people who don't know
Yeah,
you.
thank you so much. So I'm Mercedes Samudio. Like Anne said, I'm a licensed clinical social worker and parent coach in Southern California. My primary business as a psychotherapist is shame-proof parenting, but I also support professionals who are working in this field with families and parents as well through my nonprofit, Diversity and Parenting. And so both of those, I really work with clients as well as professionals to support parents, help them feel confident. And for those of you who have never seen it, really kind of push forward my campaign of in parent shaming. If you hashtag that, you'll see kind of all the posts and all the information around that.
That is so amazing. I love the work that you do around ending parent shaming, and I have adopted that principle myself, and it's amazing. It's amazing. And the Diversity in Parenting Conference, oh my goodness, what an amazing platform that you have created,
Thank you,
for
thank
us to
you.
come together. Oh, it's just amazing. And I can't wait to 2021 for the next conference. So
Hey,
keep up the good
same.
work. Yes.
Thank
So
you.
Mercedes, so we're talking about, parents are at home for longer hours and with all their children all at once. And nobody prepared them for this, you know, short on resources,
Yep.
a whole lot of fear, a
Yep.
whole lot of not knowing, right?
Yep.
A lot
Yep.
of ambiguity,
Yep.
lot of things that's just not clear. And and they are still responsible to parent. So let's talk about, why is this such a great conversation to be having tonight?
Yeah, I think one of the things that gets often misconstrued, especially outside of kind of the majority culture when it comes to positive parenting, is this idea that when you're being a positive parent, you're being permissive or you're being too lenient. And I really like kind of being one of the many minority voices talking about positive parenting, because I think, especially in a time like this, those concepts and ideas are going to help you so much while everybody, like you said, is in the house together. There's really no respite. Like, no one can go to the park. You can't send them off to daycare. You can't go to work and get those couple of hours where you guys are away from each other to kind of catch your breath. And so I think talking about positive parenting, talking about this idea of healthy parenting, and really connecting with yourself as well as your child or children is really, I think, going to help
Yeah.
all of us get through this unprecedented kind of space that we're in right now.
I think you're right on, because and getting through it, I think we shared this a little bit before we got on air. Getting through it doesn't always look nice and neat and clean
No,
and
no,
positive,
no, no.
right?
And
It
but I think that's the whole idea about positive parenting, is that it's not about being perfect. It's about learning how to build up your emotional kind of understanding. So even when we're not perfect, even when we're not saying the right things, even when we're all kind of off, we know in our hearts that the other person is doing the best that they can, and so are we. And I think that mindset and that perspective sometimes often gets lost in all the other positive parenting techniques, because I think the word positive parenting sometimes can be a bit of a misnomer. It's not about always being like, yeah, I love my kids. Yeah, I love parenting. That's not positive parenting, right? It's really about getting back to the humanness of yourself as a parent, as well as looking over at your kid and being like, they're a human too. We're both experiencing a lot of grief, a lot of loss, a lot of overwhelm, just a lot together on different levels. And so I think positive parenting enters itself into this space because we're both realizing that. We're both realizing that we've got to have grace for each other. We're realizing that I can't hold everybody as well as myself to those same high standards pre kind of global pandemic, right? Like we're really going to have to lessen those restraints and those expectations that we have on each other. And I think a lot of times when we talk about positive parenting, those kind of concepts get kind of pushed down in lieu of talking more about like, the other kind of strategies and techniques that we all can be doing.
You are so right on. Today, one of my friends posted on her Facebook page. She's like, check on your friends who are used to having a clean house because we're not okay.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
How many of us feel like that, right? Yeah. We're not okay. And it's not necessarily about just how many kids you have at home or if you have kids at home. But sometimes I look over at stuff and I'm like, I don't even feel like moving that right now.
Yes.
Right.
And I think that's something that I really want to share too. I shared a post, and if you're following me, you might see it, where Elmo's dad actually released a PSA telling all the parents that you're doing the best that you can. And it's a very nice, really Sesame Street level kind of PSA, but just something really nice and kind. And when I saw that, I thought, how many of the parents that are at home are really kind of struggling with even seeing themselves as worthy? I think a lot of parents kind of got thrust into having to be full-time caregivers, as well as full-time workers, as well as like full-time everything. You didn't really get to turn off and on like you normally did pre-global kind of pandemic. And so for a lot of parents, whether you were doing it well before or not, this has really put a huge strain on how you see yourself, how you show up for yourself. There's really no breaks, and you got to really be proactive about taking those breaks. And no one taught people how to do that. I think we live in a very like go society, and everyone's had to slow down. There's no more karate. There's no more band. There's no more meetings to rush to. Like we're all just sitting here trying to figure things out. And I think that on top of trying to parent is really overwhelming for a lot of people.
I think that is so true. And we talked about shame-proof parenting and how we might look at parents and we might judge them. But in the times like these, you don't even have to look outside of yourself. Sometimes when you feel like you're not doing it correctly, you turn on your own self, right? Yeah. And you judge your own self and you're harsh on your own self. And then there's that lack of self-compassion, lack of grace on your own self. And so it's fighting those inner, inner critic.
Yes. But what's funny? And I've talked to a few parents since I've been, doing this and kind of supporting my families via telehealth. And a lot of them are feeling that stress of, how do I find my confidence when this kind of just came on us? No one really got a warning, or we didn't really know what was going to happen. You went to bed one day with plans, and then the next day everything got shut down, and you're like, oh, all right, I gotta go. Yeah. And what I've noticed, and I think most parents who are listening or who are going to listen will feel this, you didn't get a chance to stop being a parent. Parenting didn't get closed down. Like that didn't stop. And so while everything else, all of your other resources, all of your other kind of support systems got closed down, even people who had babysitters and had family members, they couldn't come over anymore. And so all of that got shut down. And for the first time, almost overnight, so many parents lost not just maybe jobs or time to themselves, they lost support. They lost the people who would normally come over and pick up the kids, or normally they could drop the kid. They lost that. And so think about overnight, you losing all of that support and not really knowing how to reconnect with friends or family members or caregivers who are always there for you, not even knowing when that'll be able to happen, right? I think that emotional kind of overwhelm almost overrides your parenting identity. It almost makes it really difficult to get back to raising healthy kids when you don't feel stable yourself.
Right. And I think you touched on a really great point, because that overnight loss is so overwhelming. And parents, a lot of parents are trying to figure out, what is that I feel? Mm-hmm. And they're not necessarily in tune, or they're not necessarily what's the
aware.
word? They don't aware.
Yeah.
That's it. That this is grief.
Mm-hmm.
Because
mm-hmm.
you've had a significant loss.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah. And so parents are even trying to figure out, what am I even feeling? That's not even certain.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think grief oftentimes gets kind of connected to physical loss. When we physically lose and we go, oh, that's grief. But when we lose things that aren't as tangible, right? We lose our time for ourselves. We lose our supports. We lose our sleep, right? We lose money for some people. Those things they kind of just happen, and you don't realize that's the same. Your body responds to that loss and that grief the same way as if you lost a human. Right. Yeah. And so I think it's so important for us to tap into that and to realize that. And not just if you're a parent, anyone. We've lost so much over these past 3 weeks, our ability to move. I was joking with a colleague of mine where I was saying, I don't really mind being at home. I just hate the fact that I don't have an option to leave. It's like, if I'm thinking, I'll go right down the street to Target real quick, I can't. Right. Like just that novelty of having to do that. And I think for parents, that's even kind of max times 10, because for them, they were able to kind of get a space where they could say, I'm going to send you to school for a couple hours. I'm going to send you over here, but they can't. Everyone's in the house. Even if you take a walk around the block, that might not be enough to really de-stress and really come back into, how do I stay present for people who need me? And I can't even stay present for myself.
Wow. That's real talk. Now, let me check in with some of our guests. Thank you all so much for joining. It's great to be here. Melanie says, yes, I get so frustrated. I'm so much older raising these 2 boys, and my patience is shot. How can I channel my energy to be that calm mom again after working, getting in school after being out for years at the age of 49, attempting a nursing degree, then help them with their online work. We now have a pandemic in a new state, Lord help. So this is a mom who's, have so much going on, and she's like, I need help. So much has changed.
I would say, without knowing all the specifics, I would say really start to triage what's really important daily and what things can kind of be pushed back a little bit. So I'm looking at, you're talking about having to go to school, and your schoolwork, I'm sure, is very important, but so is your kids' schoolwork. And so thinking to yourself, how do I manage my energy? Look at kind of, and I'll be kind of silly about this, but at the same time, really serious. Actually kind of take a piece of paper and write down, when are things due, not just for you, but for the kids too. So maybe they get a packet of work that's not due for 2 weeks. Then don't stress about making them sit there for 5 hours and finish it. Really looking at, okay, when is stuff due? When do we have to get it done? Who can do certain things on their own? Who needs help? And I would say really just kind of put a piece of paper up and say that. When are things due? What can you do on your own? When do you need help? That way your kids get to kind of do their work as much as they can without your help. You get to do your work and kind of triaging your assignments and your kind of energy. And then at the end of the day, you can look up and see, okay, they need help on X, Y, and Z. I can do that because they've done the other homework. I think one of the things that's so important in this situation, not just for you who asked the question, but for all of us watching, is in this type of pandemic, we've got to rearrange our priorities. We've got to be okay with letting go of certain rigidity about how we're supposed to do things. And we've really got to be graceful and patient with ourselves. You will not get everything done. That's not an if, it's you will not get everything done. And that is okay, because mama, dad, whoever is listening, everyone's dealing with this pandemic, not just you. Your teachers in your program are also dealing with it. The administrators in your program, in your kids' school, they're also dealing with it.
Yes.
And so as you're trying to complete assignments, as you're trying to complete things, remember, I'm not the only one. We're not the only family dealing with this. Let's be mindful of that. Do as much as you can. And if you can't get all of it done, send an email to the teachers, send an email to your professors. I will have it done by X, right? Like, give yourself more grace. Really, if you say today, we're not doing any work today, we're just going to sit and veg out, do that. Do that.
Yeah.
Because if you burn yourself out, neither of you in the home will be able to do anything. You won't be able to do schoolwork. You won't be able to get up out of the bed. You'll just be so burnt out. So really, like I said, look at your full schedule, see what you can do, and whatever else you can't do, be patient with yourself, be gentle with yourself.
Yeah. And this mom that wrote the comment, she stated that she had recently moved to a new state.
Oh my God.
Right. So there's
going on.
Right. Yeah. Right. And there's the loss from that transition. Right. And I think part of it is encouraging her to reach out and stay connected. You know, that social connection through social media, or, you know, through phone calls, through inbox, and however you can stay connected.
Yeah.
Because that's going to be, that's essential right now.
I agree with that. And I'm sending you a lot of love and energy your way, because that's a lot, not only to be dealing with everyone's schedules, but then to be dealing with a move and a global pandemic going on. Like,
right.
I mean, outside this, if you don't remember anything else that I said, just remember it's okay to take a breath, and it's okay to be gentle with yourself. And it's okay to say 1 day, 2 days, we're not doing anything. It's okay to say that. Like, it's okay.
Yeah. And I think people just sometimes need permission to let a few balls fall.
Yeah. You know, especially now, like, it's, if you've always been, and I'll speak from personal experience, I am definitely one of those people who's like spinning all the plates, running back and forth. And these past 3-4 weeks, I've really slowed down. I've really given myself permission to just be like, this is hard. I don't know how to show up every day. I don't know what I'm doing. And I would even say, saying that at home, right? Just kind of when we're all sitting down eating, say, you know, this is really hard, guys. I don't know how to show up. How are you guys feeling? And I guarantee your kids will probably look at you and say, yeah, I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing either, Mom. I used to get up at 8 and go to class, and now I don't know. And, you know, like I think about my seniors who have all their plans for senior year. They're probably sitting around just like, what do I do now? And so I think a lot of times as parents, we think, I got to be strong. I got to save face. Honestly, show up in that really honest space, because you're not the only one who's feeling that way. If you wake up in the morning completely confused about what you're going to do all day because there's so much uncertainty, I'm pretty sure your kids are feeling that way too. And so just being honest about it. It's okay to say, I don't know what I'm doing. It's okay to say, we're going to get through this together, and we're going to kind of figure it out together, because no one has the answers right now. Like, no one does.
I think that's so important, because as you give yourself permission to have your feelings and acknowledge your whatever, your lack of knowing, I think you give your children permission to do that as well. And it makes for less chaos and less tension in the household.
Yes. And they see it. It's a good modeling for them to see that it's okay not to have it all together. It's okay to say, I don't know. It's okay to say, this morning we'll just kind of get up and eat breakfast, and we'll see what happens after that. Like, it's okay to not have, you know, I saw right afterwards, there were so many like, these are what you should do with your kid from 8 to 9 and 9 to 10. I was like, I hope no one's following that, because that's too much right now. Like, that's too much. And I think it's okay to say, you know, we're not going to do schoolwork today, or we're just going to watch TV today and just kind of enjoy each other. It's okay, even if our older kids don't want to be around us for a little bit. They don't have to always want to be a part of family time, to give them time to grieve and to go into their room and have a couple of minutes where they just kind of veg out and, you know, play Fortnite and just kind of zone out. I think prior to this, I could see some of the issues and worries about that. But I think right now, really allowing people to self-soothe in a way that's healthy for them, without making them feel guilty about it, without making them feel like there's something wrong with them. No one was prepared, like you said at the beginning of this. No one got a preparation manual on what to do during quarantine. Like, we don't have that, and so everyone's doing the best that they can.
Right, right. And I think part of the pressure also is people feeling like you have to get along with each other during this time, right?
Girl, you got another 30 minutes to talk about that.
And it's like, you know what? We might not. But the biggest thing that I think that you said is to give yourself and each other that measure of faith and grace. Grace is like, will be your best friend right now.
Yes. Oof, I agree. And, for me, I feel like grace looks like saying it's okay. If we order takeout, it's okay. If we eat the same old chicken nuggets every day, it's okay. Like, I think just really not holding yourself, like I said, to those pre-COVID standards that you held, because you don't have access to the same energy, the same resources, the same options as you did before. I was joking with a colleague the other day. We were talking about how Amazon is a little slower, obviously, at getting things to people. And we laughed and we said, this feels like when Amazon first started, it took 2 weeks to get stuff as opposed to getting it the next day. Right. And it's these things that, again, on the surface feel like first world problems, trivial issues. Either way, we've lost all of those infrastructures. We've lost all of those things we're used to having. That's difficult. Yeah. It's difficult to manage your supplies. I think about people who don't even have access to supplies, and how are they going to get more? I mean, I can't say this enough, and I'm pretty sure almost anyone who talks about this in the mental health and emotional field feels the same, but we really have to have grace with ourselves. Life as we knew it has completely changed, man, just completely changed. Yeah. And on the surface, there's the financial stuff and there's the, the material stuff, but underneath, it's also changed for how we normally manage ourselves.
That's so
how
true.
we normally feel and think. People have been telling me they wake up in the morning and they're just confused. They don't even know what to do. People who have their stuff together, people who have jobs and they're just like, dude, I wake up every morning. What's next? What's going to happen?
Yeah.
And that's a scary kind of space to be in every day,
It is. And yet, there's that faith that will tell us that, what, it's going to be okay. If we just make it through step by step, it's going to be okay. We're going to be okay. One of my guests earlier this week, she coined it the better normal. We're not going to go back to normal. We're going to have a better normal, right? And so holding on to that faith is so key, right? So
looking for the helpers, I would even say too. I love that. Look for the helpers. People, I think a lot of times when we're on the internet or on social media, there's always that negativity, but I always tell people, look for the helpers in the world. Look for the people who are sharing helpful resources. Look for the people who are sharing funny memes to keep people's spirits up. Look to the people who are, offering support and offering things, because those are the people who during something this big are still trying to shine that light so we don't get lost. They're still trying to say, we're here, we're human, we're going to get through it. And I feel like when you focus on those people as opposed to all the negativity, it just helps you to be like, okay, there's someone out here still helping. There's someone out here still trying,
Yes, I love that. And I put up, I changed my Facebook profile picture to be one that has the word hope written across it, because we do have to keep shining that light. We do have to keep the faith. We do have to keep hope alive, because there is enough that's changed and that's going to be changed after this, and we have to hold hope.
We do.
We have to hold hope. So, I mean, we're coming towards the end of our half hour. My goodness, that's gone by so fast.
It has.
What are just talk to our parents and just give them a couple of things to more nuggets to just help them get through this challenging time.
Yeah, I would say give yourself grace as well as your family members who are sheltering in place with you. I think on any normal time, we could talk about symptoms and what's going on. But I think right now, while we're all sheltering in place and just trying to get through it, let's give ourselves and our family members grace. I love what you said earlier. We won't always get along, and that's okay too, as long as we give each other that space to say, it's okay that we're disagreeing right now. Maybe I'll go in the kitchen and maybe you can go over here. We'll just kind of take a couple minutes to take a breather from each other. Be mindful that this is hard. It's not supposed to be easy. If you're waking up and you're like, this is hard, I don't know what to do, you're in the right space. That's exactly how it's supposed to feel. And so I would say this, don't feel guilty for reaching out to your normal supports, maybe to therapeutic support if you need it, seeking out telehealth support if that's something that you're needing. This is not the time for guilt and shame and pride around mental and emotional wellness. This is the time to say, I need help. I don't know what I'm doing. I need someone just to give me kind of a heading and shine a light for me to see clearly, and reach out to people if you need it. Anne's a great person. If you're following her, I don't mind you following me on social media, getting resources. And I'm sure Anne will have all of her other guest information out there, but reach out to people if you need it.
That's right. That's right. And it's such a time that we've all come together to say, hey, whatever you need, we are here for you. We are, we're all the people who've been on this show, we're loading our social media sites with resources and information. So this is not the time to be strong, in the typical definition of what strong it has been seen as. This is the time to really be okay with not being okay.
Yes, agreed.
Right. Yes. So, Mercedes, I just want to thank you so much for gracing us with your presence this evening. And just say thank you so much for just giving our parents permission to know that positive parenting doesn't always feel good. It's not doing it perfectly. It's just being exercising grace and sometimes letting things go. Right?
Agreed.
Because that's really important. Tell our viewers what's coming up for you and how they can find you.
Yeah, sure. So right now I'm just kind of supporting people and also taking care of myself and actually taking my own advice and, being kind of mindful and giving myself grace. But I'm all over the internet. So if you look up Mercedes Samudio, Shame-Proof Parenting, Diversity in Parenting, any of those names or handles, you'll find me. I am so open to supporting you. If you private message me or connect me in any way, I definitely will support you. So look for me and feel free to follow me if you want to.
Excellent. And Mercedes, once we are off, if you can drop your contact information, your handles in the comment section, I know that my audience would love to follow you. Well, you guys, thank you so much for joining us tonight. This has been another amazing episode of Teen Talk Live. Please like and share this. Share it, send it to someone who could use some encouragement. Just anybody who's at home raising children, share this video with them to help spread light and give them some hope. Thank you again, Mercedes. It's always a pleasure to have you.
Thank you so much.
Good night, everybody.